wife would constantly complain that I was taking up all the space on the couch. Talked about me like I was a puppy that didn't know he was a Rottweiler. But I thought I just wanted to be close to her, but in reality, I'm like sitting like this, and then she's confined to just the corner of the couch. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, can I have some freaking space? And I had no concept that I was taking up all the space. It made me think, well, what other places am I taking up space?
You're finally going to be talking about the whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni mess. Now, I know I'm like a week late to this. I've been with my family. I'm still in my old room in my family's house. I spoke at length about this whole Blake Lively, the It Ends With Us promotion. I talked about it heavily. I was fully convinced that there was something going on. She wasn't promoting the film right. And I'm going to be completely honest, I totally bought what was going on. I'm going to just relay to you exactly what I know and what we've been told, because there's like 3 sides to this whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and also the PR team. So I think I'm going to have to do separate videos really going into more detail, because it would be a bit of a long one.
Actor Justin Baldoni has had a Women's Solidarity Award rescinded after allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Lively, who has accused him of sexual harassment and mounting a campaign to destroy her reputation.
My stance on the fact that, has she said and done some things in interviews? Yes. I do personally still think that she can be a little bit of a mean girl, but then also be a victim. I think my mind has been open to some things, such as the promotion of the film, that actually when you read what Sony actually wanted them to do with the promotion of the film, Blake Lively allegedly did it exactly to the script. It was Justin that went off piece.
Went on to say, avoid describing the film as a love story or love triangle. Avoid talking about this film that makes it feel sad or heavy, because it's a story of hope.
I'm going to get straight onto it with the allegations that have come out. So there was a complaint that was filed, which is like a precursor to a lawsuit, which detailed Blake allegedly being harassed, like sexually harassed, inappropriateness that was going on. What ended up happening is that Sony had to literally sit Justin, Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and all of them down and have Justin sign a piece of paper which is saying that he can no longer harass Blake whilst they're doing this film. That Justin, because of the news that was going to be breaking out after all was said and done about the film, he then went and tried to cover his ass by hiring a PR team against Blake. Now, this is of course alleged, but we do have text messages to show. Usually would have my computer, but there we go. Okay, so Lively filed a legal complaint, which she claimed that a meeting took place in early January to address the hostile work environment that had almost derailed the film. She accused Baldoni and lead producer Jamie Heath of repeated sexual harassment and other disturbing behaviour, including unwanted improvised kissing from Baldoni. You have to also bear this in mind, that Justin was like a talk for this real, really being into feminism, and he was given this award, which, by the way, actually thinking about it, I'm like, why are we actually, I mean, maybe this is just me, why are we congratulating a man just for like showing solidarity with women? Like, why do we need awards for that? Anyway, actually been dropped by not only his management, but he's also been dropped by the, like, he's had his reward revoked. Not good. According to the complaint, the actor had a number of requirements in order for her to continue work on the film, including no more showing nude videos of women, including producer's wife, to Lively and or her employees, no more mention of Baldoni or Heath's previous pornography addiction, no more discussions to Lively and or her employees about personal experiences with sex, no more descriptions of their own genitalia to Lively, no more mention by Baldoni of him speaking to Lively's late father, and it keeps on going. Lively alleges that after Sony Pictures approved her request, Baldoni hired a special team that began a campaign to destroy her reputation. If you go and read the proper filing, details of her literally doing the birth scene of her legs being up in stirrups, and they didn't close off the filming room, so there were just people just walking around, and scenarios like that. Allegedly, he would go into her trailer and just start crying at her about various different things.
One of Blake's major demands was having an intimacy coordinator on set because, according to her lawsuit, she says that because there was initially no intimacy coordinator involved, that Justin would improvise these physical scenes, not being rehearsed, choreographed. She said one allegation, he bit and sucked on her lower lip, which he improvised kind of over and over. She also alleged that, during the slow dance scene, that Justin leaned over and slowly dragged his lips from her ear down her neck, and he said, "It smells so good." And according to the lawsuit, that had nothing to do with the script. And when Blake says that she objected to this behavior, she claims that Justin's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you."
Even the podcast that he's on, one of the co-hosts is now no longer a part of that podcast, the Man Enough podcast. One of the people said, "I'm writing to you today to let you know that I've had my representatives inform Wayfarer that I will no longer be co-hosting the Man Enough podcast."
No concept that I was taking up all the space. And then it made me think, well, what other places am I taking up space? You're taught to not take up space. I'm taught to take up space. I wrote about that very thing in Man Enough in my book.
Following all of this, now one of my biggest critiques of her was the way that they were promoting the film, like a lot of other people. Now, there's been documents to show going on was that Sony wanted them to promote this film in a kind of light-hearted way. They didn't want it to focus too heavily on DV. All the cast unfollowed Justin Baldoni, and they all took, Blake's side, and Justin went and did this whole press junket and movie promotion on his own.
The whole cast was instructed on how to promote this movie. There was a 2-page document literally instructing them on what to talk about and what not to talk about. The whole section in this titled What to Avoid, and this is the first thing it says. Focus more on Lily's strength and resilience as opposed to describing the film as a story about DV. Empowerment is not just about standing up to adversity, but also about having the power to overcome within oneself and grow from it and develop agency to shape the future. Avoid describing the film as a love story or love triangle. Avoid talking about this film that makes it feel sad or heavy. It's a story of hope. It also added in this to avoid talking about the film being a representative of every woman's story. There are many stories of DV, and this is just one perspective that is inspired by Colleen Hoover's own experiences while growing up.
We're going to find out more about it if this goes to court, which I can imagine it will do, because Justin Baldoni's lawyer up here says that all of this is completely false and that fabrication and that it's lies and it's slander. Following on from this whole debacle, only do we have the one side of it where we're talking about the claims that Justin Baldoni was very inappropriate, abusive towards Blake. Not only do we have that, also have the turbulence going on between Justin Baldoni and the team that he hired to take down Blake Lively. This part does get a little bit confusing. Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan, and they were basically put in charge of, running these campaigns to basically take down Blake Lively. And then I believe you had the publicist, and she ended up firing, I think it was Melissa Nathan. She ended up firing one of them because they actually were trying to poach some of her clients, whatever, and set up her own little business. Ended up going through an old work phone and discovering that both of these ladies were, basically hired to take down Blake Lively. And there are so many text messages, on the actual thing, there are so many text messages.
Astroturfing, which means the practice of publishing opinions or comments on the internet or media that appear to come from ordinary members of the public, but actually come from a particular company or political group. Went over the plan on the phone and sent him a document to which he texts them saying, "Not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call." Mr. Nathan responds saying, "That's the most important part of this, is how quickly they can shut things down and play stories in your favor." Later that day, Miss Abel and Miss Nathan exchanged the following text messages expressing that Mr. Baldoni wants to feel like Miss Lively can be buried. One of the text messages shows them saying, "We can't write it down to him. We can't write, we will will destroy her. Imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. And then there's this conversation between him and a team member, Miss Abel. He says, this is what we would need. She responds, yes, I literally just spoke to Melissa about this on break, about what we discussed last night for social and digital. Focus on Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram.
There's now lawsuits which are also being thrown around in that direction, because that is a whole mess. But to be honest with you, that's kind of like a separate thing to this topic of conversation. It gets a little bit messy. Jennifer Abel, the narrative online is so freaking good and fans are still sticking up for Justin, and there literally has been no pickup of those 2 articles, which is actually shocking to me. But I see this as a total success, as does Justin. You did such amazing work. Melissa said, narrative is crazy good, so did you. The majority of socials are so pro Justin and I don't even agree with half of them, lol. Because that's the thing, Melissa and Jennifer don't even like Justin Baldoni, and I believe that in some of those messages they agree that he's like a bit of a creep and a weirdo. Honestly, you couldn't make this up. There's another one saying, so are we in the clear now? Did we survive? Someone said, we survived. All press is so overwhelming. We've confused people so much. Mixed messaging. It's actually really funny if you think about it. There's loads and loads and loads of text messages with them basically bigging each other up and sharing out different ways that they can paint Blake in a really bad way. So for instance, they allegedly had people, like they had people on Reddit, like bots on Reddit. They had themselves or whoever writing out these things to try and discredit what Blake was doing. All these articles that were posted. It is all extremely messy.
Okay, so I have to say something, because now I see that things are starting to snowball and people start thinking that I had anything to do with the smear campaign against Blake Lively that was orchestrated allegedly by Justin Baldoni and his team. I also read the article in the New York Times this morning. I've been reading through the lawsuit and I see there's been so much dirty work going on behind the scenes, and I just wanted to say I have nothing to do with it. When I read the text messages that was going back and forth between Justin Baldoni's PR team, I was as shocked and appalled like everyone else, and I would never take part in anything like that. That's such an insult to me, and I really hope that if you have time, check out my video that I've just posted on YouTube where I explain things, because I don't want a part of this.
I want to make this extremely clear. I still do think that in the interviews that I've mentioned, the one where she's getting that guy to drink, the one where she's talking about the bump, and there were other ones as well. There was that hairdresser guy who did that podcast. There's a few where people are, were unhappy with when they were working with Blake Lively. I still would agree that actually she didn't behave very well. On the flip side of it, if it is true that this is what she has been put through, and actually she was just doing the press junket in the way that Sony was saying, I don't know about the hair. I don't know whether or not that was in the press junket as well, but there was a great deal of talk about the hair. Some things which I don't agree with, but then there are other things which if are true, have made me go, oh. But once again, this is something that we were fed. We were fed these things. I do definitely think that there's like a pause point to go, oh, there's really something quite sinister. There could have been something quite sinister going on. We may just not know the full story until it comes out in court. So have a ton of people who have spoken out as well. So we had Brandon, the guy who played the other guy in the It Ends With Us. So he actually spoke out and he made this whole entire post just talking about, how he stands in solidarity with Blake. Also have Bart Johnson, who I've just realized is the dad from High School Musical, the really good looking one. Yeah, so he's actually Troy Bolton's dad in High School Musical, and he is married or dating Blake's sister, I think, something a bit like that. And he's a fraud. He puts on the costume of a hero, man bun and all, used all of the trendy catchphrases and buzzwords for his podcast. None of it is genuine. It's all theatre. Everyone fell for it for years. Rewatch his videos with a more critical eye and watch him compliment and praise himself with faux humility and self-deprecation. What a performance.
What does a safe space feel like for you?
I love that question so much.
There's going to be more that's going to be coming out with it, and I'm going to make obviously videos which are actually current rather than just catching people up, and it'll be a lot more easier for me to just talk about it because I'm trying to get everything out that I'm aware of. But if this is true, what an asshole. What an absolute, if this is true, because once again, I will say that it's pretty damning evidence. So I don't want people being like, oh, you don't believe. It's not even that, because I do actually think that there's a lot of evidence. It's not that I don't believe Blake, that's not it at all. Everything they're saying is true, and it's really damning evidence when you look at all of it. Because he literally is a chameleon. He's playing a character exactly like this guy just said, exactly like Bolton's dad just said, all right? He's playing a character. That is not his real self, and he could be playing into this I love women and I treat women so well, and oh, look at me, and I have a podcast dedicated to how much we love women, and I'm going to accept these awards, and I'm going to direct a film about domestic violence, but actually be abusive towards the people on it and try and turn everyone against her. How crazy. What an end to 2025. What an end. That's pretty much all I've got for you today. If I've missed anything, I'm gonna go into more detail once more stuff has come out, especially about this whole PR nightmare that's happened. I'm gonna go away and do a separate video on it if it's been made a little bit unclear, just trying to get everything out that I'm aware of so that the people who have followed me, or the people that have now been following me, talk about Blake Lively, then we are now sort of caught up to speed in what is going on. How has everyone's Christmas been? Mine has been great, I'll be honest, but I am really looking forward to going back home and just getting back to a bit of normality. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.